So, turn 2, and now the sun has risen, we can actually see most of the enemy, and even better, most of our troops are free to move as they want. So, what do we know? Well, we know that this area here is a no-go because of the bunkers. We're not going to attack there. We only have 9 turns to take the objectives, so trying to go up against bunkers is a waste of time. Which means that the battlefield is now split into two, a northern and a southern half. So which one of these is the most important? It should be fairly obvious. That's 150 points here, 100 here, and 50 in the middle. So obviously the northern part will be the most important one. So this is something to keep in mind for the next for the rest of the game. Simply because if this is the most important one, it should get most of the resources. Okay, so first things first. Let's look at our engineers. How many have actually survived? Oh, bugger. There we go. So these guys are disrupted. And disrupted engineers don't clear any mines. So let's get rid of those. Get them out of the line of fire. Same goes with these guys. But we could actually move them out. However, we'd still like to clear this hex. And we have an engineer over here that can do so. But he can move from here to here and then to here, because there is a stream, and moving in to a level 2 minefield takes 2/3 of your movement points. So if he tries, it'll take him 2 turns to get there. But you can always move 1 hex, even in enemies under control, if the hex is already taken by a friendly unit, which it is in this case. So before we move this disrupted guy out, we're going to move him in. Now they are going to take a few more casualties because they're stacking, but it's worth it. And then we can move the disrupted guy out. So with everybody else being released, we need to think about how do we attack the rest of the minefield. Well, going north to south, and this is a very good idea. I mean, it's not so important with the smaller scenarios because they're fairly simple to keep an overview over. But once you get into the larger scenarios of the campaign games, get yourself into a habit of either going north to south or east to west or whatever, but do it systematically so you can keep track of what it is you're trying to do in each sector. Otherwise, you start chasing enemy units and you lose sight of what you're actually trying to do. Okay, so the northern part. Well, there's a bunker. Oh, what are you trying to do to me? There we go. There's another bunker up here, which means that these 3 hexes probably aren't all that important. What we need is a breakthrough either here or here, preferably both, because even if assuming that we got him out of the way, we still have zones of control from here and here, which means you have a breakthrough of 1 hex, which is fairly easily defended. All he has to do is place another unit here, and we're blocked in once again. So if at all possible, we'd like to take this one and this one out and open up a substantial gap where we can actually move troops through. And in order to do that, these minefields become fairly important. Mainly these 3. These the other 2 here and here are, they'd be nice, but they're of lesser importance simply because we'd have to engage the guys in the bunkers. Okay, so we have 3 hexes of minefields that we need to clear, and we have 4 units of engineers. Now, there are 2 options here. Either you can move 1 into each of the 3 hexes and 1 into either of these 2, which is one possibility, but since they are all morale D, there's a pretty good chance that at least some of them will break. So what I'm going to do, okay, they actually are around C, but anyway, same difference. So what I am going to do is move 3 of them in to the 3 hexes that I want to clear. And keep one in reserve that can reach all 3 hexes next turn if possible, because there's a fairly substantial chance that at least one of these guys will break. And if that happens, I can simply move the next one in. Now that was actually a mistake on my part, because what I should have done was look at the artillery first, because if we had disrupted some of these guys before we moved the engineers in, all opportunity fire would have been halved. So it's always look at the artillery first. And again, this guy has 3 options. This one is a no-go. He's in a bunker. You're not going to hurt him, which leaves these 2. And again, same terrain, doesn't really matter. So we're just going to pick one. Actually, it does actually matter. We should pick this guy. Why? Because he's the closest to the objective. Yep. Okay. Finally, he disrupted. Hooray! Next, guys. We're not going to fire upon him. We don't know what it is. It could be anything. It's probably the recon unit that's retreated from the trench X. But we don't know if it's a worthwhile target. What we do know is we have 3 other worthwhile targets. And again, these 2 are bunkers. So we pick this guy. And we are just going to hammer him until he breaks. Which he doesn't. So, moving south, we have the same problem. We'd like to we'd like to get a breakthrough. Hang on, let me just kill this guy. We'd like to get a breakthrough, but we've got bunkers here and here, so we're not going to attack there. There's another bunker here, which means we have these 5 hexes. Which means we need to kill this guy and this guy. This guy up here, it would be nice, but it's not vitally important. So we're going to do the same thing. Take the artillery and just hammer the most important guys. He disrupted. That's good. And he can only hit one thing. Well, we might as well fire him. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, why can he only spot this guy? That is because he belongs to this division. And artillery units can only hit targets that can be spotted by their own parent formation, which means these green guys here can only attack units that can be spotted from these guys, which is why something like core artillery is so flexible. So because if you look here, it's directly it's under the South Front HQ, which means that these are all your spotters. What you can actually do is, if you take an artillery unit and hit W, you can see all the guys that can spot for him. So you can see all the division artillery. They can only spot from. They can only get spotters from within that division. Same thing with these guys. Core artillery is a bit more flexible. They can use whatever either the core headquarters they're attached to, or the army headquarters in this case. Anyway, let's get rid of that. So, same problem we have here. we still need to clear the minefields. And we'd still like consecutive hexes to have more attack opportunities. So they go in there. Actually, there was a mistake. That's a bunker. She should have moved over here. Okay, well, let it never be said that I am error-proof. And like that. And we can't really do much else right now. I mean, we could, if these guys had been disrupted, we could have moved these guys in and assaulted him, but they're not, so we can't. What we can do is try to move in and direct fire on him. It's unlikely to do much, but and do we move in? No, we do not. We do not want to stack. 2 battalions is usually okay. 3 battalions is a recipe for disaster. Hang on, where's the last of these guys' regiments? Oh, they're in here. Fair enough. 2 and 2. Nope. We're gonna move these guys out just to avoid getting murdered by the artillery. They're okay, they're okay, they're okay. Up north. Not much. That is disrupted. Yep, that should be about it. Hang on, we do have some aircraft, don't we? He's disrupted, so let's try these guys. Nope, we did kill a bunch of guys. And he was disrupted, so we can try and murderize this. Nope, but they still took fair few casualties. Other than that, we will move. Let's see, got our armored brigades we can move. But first things first, let's get these guys into command range, if at all possible. They're all good. They're good. Oh, there we go. Move these guys up as well. So, armored brigades. Now, the thing about the armored brigades is if you're using like standard infantry, you're making a big mistake. Why? Because while they have the same soft attack values as the standard infantry battalions, their assault is 20 instead of 9. Or in other words, if you're using the motorized rifle battalions to shoot with, you are doing something very, very wrong. So let's get these guys up. Let's see. Oh, can we get them somewhere out of sight? Yep, I think we can. Over there. Now, I know I said don't stack, and I do mean that, but if they can't see you, they can't shoot you. So these guys can't be seen from anywhere. There's the 2 city hexes that blocks line of sight. There might be somebody up here, but he's out of range. And we've got some KB1s. Hooray! Let's get them up north as well. And we've got a second armored brigade. These guys are guards, even better. I don't know. Another rule of thumb is never ever move in travel mode, unless you absolutely have to. Especially if they can be spotted. But I mean, nobody can see him, so it's fairly safe. But these guys, I mean, you really do need to check whether or not the hex they're moving into is within line of sight, because units in travel mode that get hit by artillery, they are going to have a very bad day. So don't use travel mode within range of the enemy unless you absolutely have to. And if you do have to, please make sure that they can't be spotted. But with that in mind, that should be it for turn 2. And let's see what the Germans do. Oh, hey, more artillery. Hooray! Do we need to move these? Nope, they're in range. What are these guys? They can hit at least the southern part, so we no need to move them yet. These guys are unfrozen. So, can we get anywhere? And still, nope, we cannot. They are heavy rockets. So we'll move them here. And then in range of at least most of it, we can get them out of travel mode next turn, and they'll be ready to fire on turn 4. Now we can see what the Germans are going to do. More mine clearing. Nobody undisrupted, unfortunately. And we will take a closer look in turn 3.